cables.
Put my name in and stuff.
Yeah, you might as well.
Can you hear me breathe?
Oh no. Okay, I'm gonna mute us. Oh no. Sasha. Sorry. No, you're okay.
Yeah, sit up. I know.
No.
I look like.
So okay, we just went. The volume is now on. Can you say hi to our people on the internet and just tell them we're
Hi,
starting?
people on the internet. Everybody say hi, people on the internet.
Hi, people on the internet.
Everybody says hi, Sarah Meyerson.
Hi, Sarah Meyerson.
We miss you, Sarah Meyerson. We miss everybody else, whoever is there. We want everybody to be here. We'll see. We see. That soon. Oh, hello, people on the grass, somebody says. People on the grass, wave to the camera. Very good.
You want the chair moved?
Yes, I want this chair. Don't touch my chair.
Oh, she wants it.
I thought.
All right, we're live there. Cool.
This is my chair.
Good. Only 3 minutes late.
Can't have it.
For now.
Everybody takes my stuff.
So, and then
Chair.
now, like if people join,
Coffee.
they're in a waiting room. So we just.
Where's the waiting room?
So they just like here it'll say like somebody's in the waiting room, but it gives you option to it.
How's everybody doing?
I'm not quite sure.
Are you doing great, Lauren?
All of this.
Yeah, we'll go slow.
You have too much energy. We need to get you to
If we do it a
work
couple
more.
times, start to.
You would think so. But yeah, how are you doing over there in the sun? Is it too hot? Do we need to make a little room in the shade? No? No, you want to be in the sun? Like there's yeah, it's been a strange day. 5 seasons in one day. Okay.
Sorry, Sasha, can you ask our people online if they hear everything okay?
People online, do you hear everything okay?
I just like making you talk to them. Okay. I think we're good.
We're good? Sounds good.
Yeah.
Just good. Not great or anything.
This is
Okay. Good. All right. Then I am gonna find where I opened that. Here we go. So, hello people online. Hello people here. Haven't seen you in like 5 minutes. Because I've been looking into my computer. Okay, so with some of you this morning, we started talking about voice as an instrument, and voice as an instrument, and voice as not one, but maybe multiple instruments. So in this talk, I'm gonna try and pack a few information pieces about how we can use our voice as an instrument in multiple ways, and show you a few examples of how that represents itself in Yiddish lyrical song. So first of all, traditional Yiddish song, Yiddish lyrical song is one genre, one kind of traditional Yiddish singing that, is becoming more and more popular. Like the first time I did this talk was here in Weimar in 2016, I think, when we had a conference on Yiddish historically informed performance. And back then, I started this talk with the words that despite the 30 years or over 30 years of klezmer revitalization, klezmer revival, the traditional Yiddish singing styles have not been researched as deeply as, say, instrumental practices. I don't think I can quite say the same. Am I hearing myself?
No, you're good.
The same way, but there's still a long, long way to go. It is true that certain singers, some of them present right in front of me here, have been doing this for a really long time and creating incredible research through YIVO, through whatever, all the other places. However, this particular kind of singing was a little bit under the lock, primarily because it's such an intricate oral tradition that gaining access to it was not necessarily the easiest way. There were few people who were still practicing this style, but there were really few, and as the recordings go, they existed, but they were not easily accessible. Over these years, multiple things happened. First big thing that happened is that YIVO Sound Archive digitized the whole or most of the collection of wonderful Jewish folklorist Ruth Rubin, who collected lots and lots and lots of Yiddish songs, starting in late 40s through 50s and probably even 60s, mostly in Montreal and New York and a few smaller places in between. And that's an incredible wealth of Yiddish song, but also that's an incredible wealth of the style, and we get to hear it. And now it's all not only digitized, but also online and available through the YIVO Sound Archive website, the Ruth Rubin Legacy online exhibition. Please go and check it out if you haven't yet. It's really a very special place to acquaint yourself with the sound of this. And I am going to play today a few examples from this collection. Another great resource that came online also within the last 10 years is a blog from Center for Traditional Music and Dance,
called Yiddish Song of the Week. If you haven't familiarized yourself with that, also please go and do that. That's also a really incredible resource, and it's very interesting to compare. Like there are different variants of the song that you can find in Ruth Rubin archive and there, and you can play around. It's really a fun tool, and very regularly they post a song with a little article about it, with the information about the singer or context about the song. And there you can find also all the texts and transliterations and translations and all of that. And of course, there's more, but to me, those are the two major things. Oh, of course, another thing is the Stonehill collection, which is also available online. So those are three big chunks. And if you go dig there, really, you can make friends with a lot of great people. Like I'm going to talk about some of my friends, like my friend Fagel Yudin, my friend Ita Taub, Sylvia Ari, Anna Berkovitz, my best friends. I have never met them in person, but I kind of refer to them on first name basis because I feel like we have a familiar relationship at this point. I've heard their voices enough. Okay. So I'm going to give you a quick review of your vocal tract. I know we did this morning. This is going to be a review for those with whom we did it this morning, and for the other ones might not be slow enough, but just bear with me. There is a whole bunch of different parameters in our, or different things. Let's call them just things. There's a whole bunch of different things we can move around differently and create different voices, right? Our voice is a really unique instrument because a voice is not one, it's many instruments, right? We're all physically built the same, more or less, like we have longer legs, shorter legs, bigger eyes, smaller eyes, but we all kind of have those things, right? And our vocal tracts are similarly, things are shaped and sized differently, but the construction and function is the same. So really, we're all able to make any of those sounds. If we hear how in a certain style somebody sings or screams or calls cows, it's all sometimes it sounds unapproachable because we've never heard a sound like this, or we've never been able to make a sound like this. But a lot of that comes not from how we're built. We often say, oh, I don't have that in my body. Really, it's about a learned skill, a learned practice. Same like with languages, we can learn how to be in a different body. Okay, quick run around. Vocal cords. What's our vocal cords? Vocal cords are two membranes that vibrate, air goes through them and creates a wave. And depending on how fast or slow they vibrate, we get what? Higher notes or lower notes. Faster vibration, higher pitch, slower vibration, lower pitch, right? Okay, excuse me. But also they can stretch and pull in various ways horizontally, right? Besides like elongating for faster or slower vibration, right? So if they come together with a smaller surface, the sound is gentler and not as rough. And if they come together with a larger surface, the sound becomes rougher. And if they don't come together fully, there is an air gap and we hear kind of an aspirated sound. I'm just going over these things really quickly and then I'm going to show you examples. Then we can go to larynx. Our larynx is our voice box. That's where our vocal cords live. And depending on the position of where we keep our larynx. If you put your hand on your neck and swallow, everybody in the internet world can also do that. Put your hand on your neck and swallow. You notice a thing going up and down. That's your larynx. The lower the larynx, the darker the sound. The higher the larynx, the brighter the sound, right? So I'll give you an example. This is my middle larynx. This is my speaking voice. My larynx is right here. I'm going to use a different finger. Right? If I lift my larynx without moving pitch, right? The sound became kind of like narrower and higher in frequencies, but not in pitch, right? You hear the difference? I think this mic has a lot of high frequencies already. Right? If I do the other way around and I lower my, oh, wait. No, it's okay, Greg. Thank you. Oh, this is better, actually. Thank you. This is actually better. Okay, so I'm going to show you again. Middle larynx, my speaking voice, right? 1, 2, 3. High larynx. Darker sound, right? Do you want to try? Let's do it all together. Great, right? So it kind of makes things darker or lighter, and you can obviously do it on any vowel, right? And in different styles of music, you'll notice these things differently, right? Like classical music will have more lower larynx, and a lot of traditional musics will have higher larynx because it's brighter, it spreads farther. Our larynx consists of multiple cartilages, and depending on what we do with those cartilages, that also changes the sound. I'm going to mention to thyroid and cricoid. Thyroid cartilage is the front cartilage of our larynx. It kind of looks like a shield. And if we tilt it, it makes the sound rounder. So we can hear E. I'm still on E. E straight. This is still my speaking voice. E. You see the roundness? Is it better if I do it higher? You'll hear it better. E straight. E. Yeah? Does that make sense? A lot of wind? Yes? Does that make sense? Okay. Do you want to try? Let's try quickly. Let's cry a little bit, as if you're all crying. Oi, 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 oi. That's it. That's your tilted thyroid cartilage. So if you go straight, say 1, 2, 3. So that's a very straight sound. Very good. 1, 2, 3. Yeah. See, it gets rounder. Does that make sense? Does it work? More or less? Great. Next important thing, your soft palate. You're all singers. You all know where your soft palate is. Soft palate is responsible for your nasality. Depending on how the higher soft palate, the less nasal the sound. Total low soft palate is the most nasal sound, NG. Take your hand and close your nose. Very good, right? The sound stops because all the sound is going through your nose when you do NG. If you go G, the sound doesn't change, means nothing is coming through your nose. Ng. Great. So you feel this thing moving in the back of your mouth. That's your soft palate. I know some of you think it's your tongue. It's not. It's your, believe me, it's your soft palate. And you can, of course, have a nasal sound that is neither all the way up or not all the way down, but somewhere in the middle. and you can feel some of the air is coming through the nose, some through the mouth, right? There you go. This is what we really need mostly for Nigunim. Everything else, for other things, this is something we need for singing Nigunim. Because if we're going to sing for 24 hours and get into the ecstasy to what Sveta was talking about yesterday, we need extra support, and making sound nasal makes it cut through, makes it louder, makes it a lot easier. Another thing that makes sound cut through and makes sound bright is twang. Twang is a really funny thing that we in Europe don't encounter quite as much as our, even though that's not true. Italian has twang and some Portuguese has twang, and in colder, more northern parts of Europe, we experience less twang. Twang is an onomatopoeic word. Twang is what it sounds like. It's that kind of ringing quality that you get in your voice. Basically, what you do is you create an extra tiny resonance chamber within your throat. There is an epiglottic fold that kind of narrows your pipe inside, and it makes your epiglottis come down a little bit. So when your true vocal cords are vibrating, your false vocal cords that you all probably know about are wide open. We feel like this, like your vocal coaches tell you, feel a smile in your neck, right? My vocal coach always said, feel the smile in your neck. What is a smile in the neck? That's your false vocal cords, right? This kind of like open, wide soundy. So when you do that and you narrow that epiglottic fold and the sound becomes bright, and you kind of create this little resonance chamber, and it becomes Does that make sense? Do you want to try? Huh? It sounds American. I mean, you know how when you're on a train and there is like two Americans and everybody else is German, but you can't hear a single word from what Germans are saying, but you can hear everything Americans are saying? They're not loud. They're not louder than Germans. They're speaking with twang. They're using this kind of different quality that is ingrained in how they speak. So it's ingrained in how they speak. So it travels farther. Let's do this. Very good. So this is nasal twang, right? It's right? It's over there. So how do we denasalize it? We smile in our throat. No, we lift our soft palate, right? Low soft palate, everything goes through the nose. We lift it so that all the air doesn't go through the nose and comes through the mouth. So go nye, 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 nye. And we go nye. Great. So that's your twang without nasality, right? We'll need all of those things when we talk about our friends Sylvia and Anna and Ita and Fagel, because they use all of these things, right? Okay, so these are just a couple little things, and there is more, obviously. And it's all about how we combine these things. So what I've been doing two parallel kind of sides of research, listening to my friends. And I on purpose picked a couple singers that appear in collections multiple times and have more different repertoire, so that I can hear what is their style rather than how they sing this one particular song, right? And I was trying to kind of, so originally my goal was like, I'm gonna just like analyze a whole bunch of singers, and I'm gonna come up with this perfect formula that tells me one way to sing the Yiddish traditional song, and we'll be done. I'll have like that magical key, and ta-da, we're done, and it's all working. Well, I was a little optimistic with that. Of course, it didn't quite work because there definitely are similarities between these singers in their vocal technique, but vocal technique um, is not the same for everybody, and it's not in the way that some are better singers or not. It's more, and I have theories about like how it relates to places. Maybe some of it is geographical style, um, some of it is age, some of it is, there's lots of different factors. But besides that, um, there isn't really one vocal style for Yiddish song. There isn't one vocal sound. There isn't one way of using ornamentation or whatever we call it. Um, and there are overarching moments, though. I feel like there is an overarching attitude, and I want to talk to you and show you examples from different singers, and talk to you about this overarching attitude. So first thing that I notice is that most of our friends um, primarily sing in the most speech-like quality. Speech-like quality, but as if their spoken voice was higher than it is. And you can hear some of them speak before the song, and almost always their speaking voice is much lower than their singing voice. But when they go into the singing voice, they create this light um, singing qualities that don't have. Am I supposed to share sound when I'm playing the? Okay, I need to figure that out. They don't have like they don't change how it sounds. It sounds the same as they speak, just higher. Does that make sense? So what is a speech-like quality? Speech-like quality means that basically all of our vocal tract is as relaxed as possible. Everything is relaxed. Our back is relaxed. Our neck is relaxed. Our lips are relaxed. Our jaw is not protruded. Our jaw doesn't fall too far down. Everything is in a very relaxed, simple space. The true vocal cords are thin. They barely touch. They touch very lightly, unless sometimes for men it's a little bit different, and for lower notes, like if they suddenly start, I'm gonna play you a recording of Lurje Widman when she starts a song way too low, and it's just like that's a different person singing, and then she jumps an octave. They start with I'm trying to see how to do this. Sorry, multitasking. Share. How do I do that? Advanced computer audio. Okay. Why don't you let Dina in? It's okay, she's in. Hi, Dina. Okay, so where was I? So here is our friend. Oh, did I want to play here? Okay, here's our friend. I'll play something simple from her, a little simpler. Here we go. If you are familiar with with these recordings, you'll know who this friend is. I'll tell you later. Come on. I think it's all going into the Zoom and not to us. Can people on Zoom hear this?
Feier die Liebe, was tut in Herzen brennen,
Yeah.
was teig unser Liebe spüren, als wir kennen sich nicht nehmen. Der Ruiz in Gas,
I know. Sorry. Oh. Everybody stop. Okay. I'm muted. Wait. Now I lost. Wait. Now I. It's like alternative art or something. So what am I supposed to do now? Okay. Everybody, good luck again. 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 Everybody, good luck again.
regnen. Genug unser Liebe spielen, als wir können sich nicht nehmen. Geh ja ruhig in Gas und tu sich versammeln. Stell sich an niederstolz, red über mit dein Mamen. Was sagt dein Mamen, was tut sie reden? Sie sagt, nächster Kapore werden, wir müssen sich zu scheiden. Wir müssen sich zu scheiden, in dem Fremd zu verbleiben. Und als du bist da weg von a Brief, sollst du schreiben.
And
Whole time though, no?
Just as last since you started sharing the music. Okay.
Turn this off. I think it's going into here. There's a sound coming from someone. Okay. Well, fun. All right. Can everybody hear us now? Okay, this was Anna Berkowitz singing Die Fertige Liebe. And what did we hear? Right? Hey, she's very simple. She doesn't do very much. She's a great singer. Her whole singing is very, and you can hear that if you listen to her do other songs as well. She tends to sing very straight. She doesn't tend to be very emotional. She doesn't stretch phrases. How is her voice built? What do you think? Very natural. Zogavdig, right? So zogavdig, that's our speech-like quality. Thin vocal cords, mid-high larynx, right? Notice that how light she sounds. She sounds light because her larynx is a little bit higher, right? If I were speaking, I'm gonna give you an example. So, die feierliche Liebe, so it's a little bit higher. See how I'm speaking here? And the moment I go there, my larynx goes a little bit higher. And the higher is my larynx, the lighter is my sound. Even when I go up or when I go down. Okay, does that make sense? Let's try. I die, die, die. I die, die, die. I die, die, die. I die, die, I die. I da die, die, da die. So notice what's happening when we're going I da die, 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 da die. We are letting our larynx drop because that's our natural connection. So let's try and not let our larynx drop on the way down. And then we're gonna sing like Anna Berkovitz. Ay da 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 da. Ay da 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 da. Ay da da da. Ay da da da. Ay da da ya da 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 ya da 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 ya da da. See? Do you notice the difference with that, how that ending suddenly becomes so much lighter? So that is a great control of larynx. And we do notice, I do notice that a lot of these people tend to keep it quite stable, you know, not jump from low notes and low larynx, high notes and high larynx, unless they do. And when do they? We talked about this earlier, no? When do they? They do in order to lift something, to emphasize something, to slide up or down, to go I, I. And who is our good friend? Who's the great friend of slide? Is our other friend, Sylvia Ari. I'm gonna play you another. Again, I'm good. Yes, well, not related. She's his wife. They're not related. She's his wife.
Where it's like he's in the background, like singing.
Oh,
or she's in the background. Like,
no, there's like these great recordings. We can listen to this. She's forgetting the words, and he goes like. And she's like in the back holding himself, letting her record it. And she's forgetting the words and goes like, come on. Yeah, that's how it goes. And she's like, I don't know. And he's like, that's how it goes. Apparently, yeah. There are lots of, like Ruth Rubin herself tells the story about how there's a Ruth Rubin documentary. And Lauren, you were gonna, I don't know. Is there a plan to show it within, for the participants? So maybe.
Yeah, but no, in the outtakes.
It's in the outtakes.
She says that she heard Sylvia sing first, and that Terry was lurking nearby, and that she said, "Who's that?" She says, "My husband. Always thinks I sing everything wrong."
I'm gonna repeat this so that everybody can hear this.
Yeah.
Or come. Do you wanna come tell the story? It's really good. Do it into the microfono. Microfono.
Oh, hi. So,
Lawrence Clamber.
Ruth Rubin tells the story about how she would ask at these concerts or lectures that she gave at various JCCs or synagogues if it was okay if she could ask people to sing for her after she was done. And at one such event, Sylvia Ari came up and was singing for her, and she noticed that Sylvia kept looking towards the door, and she said, well, who's that? And she said, well, that's my husband. He's always critical of my singing. And she said, well, just keep singing, and maybe he'll come and he'll sing for us too. And then it turned out that basically he was one of her greatest sources of material, and he basically, I think he kind of taught Sylvia everything she knew. But she also was a great singer, and so through that little trick, she got Harry Ari to sing for her.
Yeah, there you go. Because he couldn't stand it. He was like, she sings everything wrong. I gotta fix it. That's Sylvia. She's interrupting us. Okay, let's listen to a different song. Let's listen to Sylvia a little bit. Listen to when. Oh, I need to share sound again. Yeah. It's still sharing it. Okay. Listen to how she sings, and when you listen, pay attention to what's happening with her slides, and pay attention at where. Remember, we talked about the thyroid cartilage, right? What does it do? Oh, right? It makes everything rounder. So pay attention. What does she do? Is this thing off again?
Bin gefunden, keiner des Lädchen meine Masoles. Chai pil zakusil, teglach mit fasolles. Chai pil zakusil, teglach mit fasolles. Bin gefunden, keiner des zu der Churche Chanke. Chai pil zakusil, oiv der Moldevanke. Chai pil zakusil, oiv der Moldevanke.
Okay.
I heard that song today somewhere.
Okay. So where did you hear this song today? Okay. Did you hear that song today?
Yeah, we sang it.
Yeah, very good. Did you sing it that way? Very good. So what do we notice? Let's do vocal cords, thin or thick? Thin, right? But does she sound as speech-like as Anna Berkowitz? No, not at all, right? What is different? Her sound is much rounder, right? She uses much more of her thyroid cartilage, but she doesn't make it sound operatic. Operatic? How? Why is this not operatic?
It's not like crazy with vibrato.
There's not crazy vibrato, yes. What else? The larynx is still high. So what happens if we don't lower our larynx, but we add this roundness by tilting our thyroid cartilage? So let's try it. Let's go. You straight sound. You. Let's lift our larynx a little bit up. You. Very good. And now let's try and add that roundness to it. Does that sound like her? Something is missing, right? What is missing? We talked about this already today. What is missing? One little thing. One little thing. One little thing. Yeah. She has that brightness on top of everything, right? That brightness is a light touch of twang. It's because if we do this, ah, da, 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 ah, sounds a little bit like a Gregorian chant. This around, if we do just the round sound and high larynx and thin vocal cords, it just becomes a little bit like we're in a church. but we're not. And if we add a little bit twang, so let's add a little bit twang to it. Does that work for you guys? No, go ahead, try it. No? No? Who wants to try? Okay, everybody together. Listen. Bin gefahren, keiner des. See? And that gives it immediately, like, even though this is a very fun, jokey song, she sings it with a little bit more emotion. She has this style of kind of like letting the phrases roll a little. Keiner des Lächeln meine Amazonas, Chai piel zakусила теглах mit fasoles. Right? Rounder and more of sliding. So we have more roundness and more twang. Great. Where are we? We have several more. Yeah, you can. But don't turn off my screen with this. So let's quickly look at a few more singers that I wanted to show you. Here's another person that we really like that wasn't recorded by Ruth Rubin. It was it. She was mostly recorded by Label Khan and other members of her family. It's a Gottesman and God knows who else, because it's a Gottesman's grandmother, Bela Schechter Gottesman's mother, Esther Gottesman's great-grandmother, Lurje Schechter Widman. This is a very important New York Yiddish family. And Lurje was born in Zvinechka in what now is Ukraine. And real. Are you doing this or me? This, where is that coming from? So Lurje was really an incredible treasure of Yiddish song, and we learned a lot of repertoire. But let's listen to her a little bit on. This is a great song, and again, listen for the same things. Her true vocal cords, larynx position, and her tilting or not tilting the thyroid cartilage. There you go. Can I play it now?
Welcome to
Okay, this is enough. I know the quality is a little worse than the other one. What did we hear? Vocal cords, thin or thick? Thin, very good. Thin. They're basically, I'm gonna get to one thick, but just to prove that, like you listen to all of them and go, thin, it looks like thin. And then like there is Fagel-Uden. Okay. Where's her larynx? Okay. No. Really, what makes you think that?
Her sound is very round and small.
Her sound is very full. So what she does, she really plays much more with her larynx position just in general. So when we were listening to Sylvia, when she slides, she really keeps it simple. When Lurje slides. Lurje is the queen of slide, right? Lurje is the queen of slide. When she slides, she goes all the way and she moves her larynx. Generally, her position is higher unless she starts way too low. But if she sings in a comfortable key for herself, her larynx position is high. Mama chulem, sich mir gechulem. Right? It's not low. But it's round, and it's again that thyroid cartilage. And she has this beautiful thing of having it tilted a little bit. That what we just heard. I don't know, like maybe with this recording quality, like we have a recording that is a little cleaner. But so what she does, Mama chulem, sich mir gechulem. So when she goes into a repetition of the word, when she goes into a line that emphasizes what she just said, she tilts it even more and makes it even rounder. And that roundness makes it sound like what we associate with that low larynx situation, right? She doesn't have quite as much twang as Sylvia does, but she has a little bit, again, for that projecting. But it's all, again, everything, the most important thing, everything is relaxed. She just sits around and sings a song. Oh, yechulem, oh, zich mir gechulem. Oh, and let's tilt it more. There you go. So you see the difference between beautiful, right? Does that work? So that's a great tool for a traditional singer to emphasize, to underline, to play with. How do I milk this emotion even more? It was a bad dream. I had a dream, but it was a really bad one, right? Whatever can I'm like, whatever notes I'm singing right now. But like the idea, you get this, right? Ooh, it just like gets you to this, it grabs that special string in your soul. Okay. Time. Just to contradict everything, here is another person. So I really, and this is pure theory that I'm trying to figure out. But what I'm noticing is that singers coming from more southern areas, like say what we just heard, Lurje, or, well, Sylvia is from Moscow, so where does her family come from? We don't really know. And then like, or if we get to Ita Taub, another incredibly emotional singer, also from Bessarabia, our big informant for Michael Alpert, Bronya Sakina, also from Ukraine, from Kholovanevsk. They all have an incredibly emotional way of singing. Emotional in a way of just spreading, taking time, making things, playing with the meter a little bit more, playing with this tilting, not tilting, ornamenting much more. And people in the north tend to be a little bit straighter. Anna Berkowitz, even when she sings Von Groß das Sad, she kind of, Von Groß das Sad like a geschlafen, from deep sorrow I go to bed. On meine Hand lege ich zu Kopens, und auf alles habe ich Karotte, aber zurück kann ich nicht haben. It's a very intense text. And she still goes, here is the, just to give you a little bit feeling.
Von groß das Sod leg ihr sich schlafen und meine Hand leg ihr zu Kopens und auf alles hab ich a rote, nur auf Zürich kenn ich nicht haben.
So it's very emotional, but it's emotional in a very different space than what we just heard with Lurje, or here is no. What that? Oh, sorry. Start from the beginning, please.
Oi wei Mama, ich spiel a Liebe, in finde Liebe, dit me wei Manans. In finde Liebe, dit me wei Manans. Oi öffnet Menschen, eure Augen, wird ihr sein, so wie Keules schwarz. O öffnet Menschen, eure Augen, wird ihr sein, so wie Keules schwarz.
Sorry. I'm not stealing it from a singer. Yeah, this is Ita Taub, also from Bessarabia. Very emotional singer. Tilted thyroid cartilage, a lot. High larynx, lots of twang. Not lots of twang, but a reasonable amount of twang, right? And then when she slides with her whole throat, right? Like she slides with her whole larynx, okay? But people like Anna Berkowitz, much lighter. And here is another northern singer. Also, this is Feigl Yudin, originally from Vysokolitovsk in Belarus.
Mit allem bist du freundlich, nur mir heißt du schweigen. Mit allem redst du, mit allem bist du freundlich, nur mir heißt du schweigen.
Okay. Thin or thick vocal cords? Kind of, I said. Mostly thick, but she goes in between. She does the whole like mix. She goes, bye, whatever. She sings a different interval in each verse there also. She can't decide what the melody is. Thicker, twangier, but a lot of sliding still, right? A very different style. But what tells us that all of these folks kind of still sing in the same style? What does? I mean, there are so many styles of traditional singing. So far, technique-wise, we just said that all of them have high larynx. That's the only constant thing that we had so far. Slides. Yeah. I actually think that is one of the most important things. But as far as ornamentation goes, slides are probably the most important ornaments in traditional Yiddish singing. We always get very excited about krechts, but for singing, really, it's good to have a good krechts, and we probably could have like a whole exploration laboratory on what that even means. But slide is the most important thing. But really what tells us about all of this being one style in the end is not necessarily the melodic or sound structure. Really what it is the language. And what the language does, it gives us not just, it's not about like that all of this is in Yiddish and that's why it's the same thing. You can listen to these people sing songs in a mix of languages, or in Lashon Kodesh, or even in Slavic languages. They still sound like there is this style. And what Yiddish language gives it is the rhythm of the language and the phrasing of the language. You have like, when you know, like when you speak multiple languages, you turn into a different person when you speak those languages, right? I have very different gesticulation, gesture, face expressions when I speak other languages. My voice sounds different when I speak other languages. I've had people think that I'm very rude to a friend because I was speaking Russian to them. No, I wasn't rude. I was just speaking Russian. And for somebody who doesn't speak Russian, just my gesture and intonation sounded like I was angry. Oh, a very cute baby just has arrived. I think it's time. So in the same way, the language, somebody's calling me, and the same way, the language changes how you speak, it changes how you sing. And each, stop calling me. Sorry. Gosh. And the same way language changes your intonation, language changes your gesture, it does that to a gesture and intonation in the song. And what really influences Yiddish song is the microdynamics of the Yiddish language, and connecting that to this technique that we were just talking about for an hour is what will make it sound Yiddish. You know, that's pretty much my big theory here. But that whole microdynamic thing is, I think, a whole other lecture, but I just wanted to plant it in your head. I think we're out of time, and the baby has arrived and it's time for us to go. But I can answer questions. Do you have any questions or thoughts? Okay.
When you're speaking about the roundness of the sound for different singers, how much does vowel shape play into that versus just the tilt of the thyroid cartilage?
How much does the vowel difference play into the roundness of the sound? Well, the thing is, no, not much. Really not much. Roundness, the difference between O and I, if you're not round, is, I mean, it's still going to be an O, right? Or O, or with a twang, O, lo mir beide Liebe spielen. All of this sounds, it's not about the vowels I'm singing, it's really about the voice quality. Anybody else? Yes?
How much is what we just talked about is relevant for male voices, especially low voices, Ari, low voices?
So that's a great question. How is everything we talked about relevant for male voices or lower female voices? I did this on purpose, focusing on female voices, because male voices, well, first of all, I'm often very puzzled by male voices just in general, to be honest. They're a little bit of a different animal for me. No, but I'm just being honest. But you can hear these things in male voices as well. I think there is another more important thing here in play, that a lot of male traditional singers come from slightly different backgrounds than female singers. So a lot of male singers, well, Harry Ari is a slightly different example, but for most male singers, they come a little bit more from ways of singing that connect to liturgic music, that they have more cantor sound in their ears, or they are more used to singing nigunim in a community where female people were not sharing singing space with men in traditional society. So it creates a different sound world that these people grew up with. So I think like that is much more at play for male voices, that their background is in a different place. So a lot of them, even when they are informants for traditional lyrical song, their sound is informed by yet another thing. And when we go through these collections, we have to also be very careful about when these things are recorded. Because for instance, even if we listen to Ruth Rubin herself, her earlier recordings sound closer to certain things that we're talking about here. Her later recordings, after she's, even though she was either born in Montreal or arrived there as a baby, which is not certain, like she spent there her whole life, but after her life, after singing in choirs and doing like multiple other things, her singing changed because she was relating to the circumstances. Same with Fagel Yudin. Fagel Yudin sings with much more freedom and less attack earlier in her life rather than later after she's been singing in choirs for a long time. So we need to like watch when the recordings are from, to kind of like also build, like we need to take in consideration all these different factors so that we can say, this is a document of this particular time. Listen, everything we're doing with this kind of reconstruction of sound work, all we have is recordings from the 20th century. That means that these people sung this way when they sung this way, right? And it's an important thing to remember this. Or these, if we're talking about instruments, these people played this way when they played this way, you know? They already were influenced by whatever the music was around them, whatever their musical experiences, the sound experiences around them. And we can't dissect that. We can't like separate those things. If I grew up listening to rock music, this will always be part of my phonetic world, that I grew up hearing the voice of Robert Plant, you know, like it will always be there. I can't unhear it, you know?
We have a question from the internet that's very related to this. I'm curious also maybe what Smith thinks, but Ellen Rosenbluth asks, how studied are these characteristics versus intuitive/cultural? And I would say, like you're saying, it's hard to know in a lot of ways. But I'm also curious, like from Smith's perspective, especially, like how does this connect to things that we have in cantorial music that maybe would like take us further back? Maybe Sasha can answer it.
Okay, so if the question is how studied versus how intuitive cultural these characteristics are, it's I have a very clear answer to this. If we're talking about our informants, if we're talking about people on the recording, it's intuitive. They grew up within this world. They grew up with certain sound. They learned these songs from each other. It's an oral transition of culture. And for sure, for these people, it is intuitive. I don't think any of them thought about where their larynx is or knew that their larynx consists of more, maybe some of them did, but like cared about their thyroid cartilage. I really don't think they did. but we are coming into it as the outsiders, really. None of us grew up listening to this music the same way as these guys did. You know, even if we grew up listening to, like, even if your parents had a lot of cosmetic CDs growing up, you grew up listening to Lawrence Klamberg. You didn't you didn't grow up listening to Harry Aries' mother, you know, and that's a very different line of musical descent. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think so. Also, I think actually we should wrap up.
I think we should wrap up before we get rained out, because I think that a storm is coming.
Or not.
Yes, and there is a zingarai or not tonight. So thank you, everybody. Thanks. Say goodbye, everybody on the internet. Thank you. Say goodbye to everybody on the internet. Don't drop my phone. Everybody's still there. Bye, internet. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, everybody, for being patient and curious. We'll see you tonight at Zing